Gosh, with that, and of course Lance Russell, Lance's daughter, all passed away in the past couple of weeks. It's just been, and it's been some sadness around here.
And I think I did an entire episode of my show on Lance, and then replayed an interview that I had been fortunate enough to do when he did the show a couple of years ago, and that one I burbled like a baby, all day over that, because he was the nicest man in the world. But I want to say something to you here, and we can start it here on your show, because I have the followers, the cult of Cornette, but you have the King's Court. Together we can mass armies here.
Yes.
Lance Russell should go somehow or be recognized by the Museum of Broadcasting. Should he not? Is there not some type of local television records that he set that can never be broken in terms of longevity or amount of impressions? I figured out and did mathematics just doing Memphis wrestling and that show that was later syndicated other places in Kentucky and Tennessee when it was a territory. Over the period of time someone with a pair of ears had heard Lance Russell say, "Yellow again, everybody," 300 million times.
Right? Exactly.
So we got to get some kind of movement going and have.
Well, of course, we did induct Lance and Dave into the Memphis Wrestling Hall of Fame. Now I do know that there is, because Dave Brown just got inducted into the Tennessee Broadcasters Hall of Fame, which I didn't, that was the first time I'd heard about that. So that would be great. And then I know that this was a great honor for me. Lance had me come out to Las Vegas and induct Lance into the Cauliflower Alley's Announcers Hall of Fame, so to speak, at that. So, I mean, I know he's gotten a lot of accolades and a lot of awards like that, because I think you'll agree. I mean, to me, and of course it's our own personal opinion, but he was the best. He was without a doubt the best.
Well, and not only was he the best, there was never an announcer more important to the success of a television show, or in that effect, the territory. I don't think Gordon Soley was as important in Florida even. And that may sound like blasphemy to people, in Fort Lauderdale or whatever.
Well, naturally, you're such a fan of who you grew up with, and we all grew up with Lance. And I've said this, 100 times since his passing, but Lance was real. I mean, Lance was not one of these guys that went on. I mean, I dare say that when you talked to Gordon Soley out on the street, he didn't say, "Oh, there's a crimson mask," and it didn't sound the same, But Lance Russell was the same. I mean, because, he wasn't a different character when the cameras came on. He was still Lance, and so was Dave Brown. And that was why he was so
he was
relatable.
Professional. He was professional by sounding unprofessional.
Right.
But it worked, but I don't think any announcer, was as important to the business of any other wrestling area or promotion than Lance Russell was over that period of time, and it was just because, and Memphis, maybe that's the reason why to some of the people inside the profession, Memphis wrestling was sometimes ha-ha, but in the territory, when you understood how it was presented, that's why 10,000 people a week were coming to see it in Memphis, because it wasn't ha-ha.
Well, and I think that, and over the years, Lance and Dave became, they became like a part of your family. They it was two friends of yours that you invited into your house every Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. And they stayed for an hour and a half, and they were your buddies and they were your friends. And and I look at it like this. I think that they were so likable and so believable, and so a part of people's family that you could not envision either Lance or Dave lying to you.
Yes.
So when Lance and Dave said something, you believed it. So when they were believing in the wrestling, then you believed in the wrestling. And that's why I think Memphis was different from any other wrestling territory in the country. I mean, it was like you said, the people believed here for so long, and it was I think, like you said, a part of that was because of Lance and Dave.
Well, and to be honest, and Dave, who Lance started and saw something in him from the beginning, especially in the Memphis market where Dave was the most popular newsman in town. He was the guy telling parents how to dress their children for school the next day on the news.
And then you remember, we really had to, that was something that we consciously had to protect. We tried from the wrestling end of the business to protect especially Dave's and Lance's credibility on the air. That's why if anybody ever touched Lance, and it only happened a few times, if anybody ever touched Lance, it was a major deal.
And at that time, we talked about it on our show because somebody had put it out on Twitter. When Dream Machine charged it after the alley-oop video.
Yes.
And Dream charged at Lance. He's going to grab him by the lapels. But he did
grab him.
Well, he's good, but he's coming so fast. All the way down
to the floor.
Yeah, because remember the desks set up on that slidable news desk thing.
Yes.
And it was about a foot high, and Lance's calves, it was like a schoolboy. When Dream grabbed him and he was coming so fast, Lance went right back over at desk, and people thought it was the Kennedy assassination.
Exactly.
Lance is down. Lance is down.
And you could just tell the difference. All of a sudden, Eddie Marlin, that was Lance's favorite line. Can we get some help out here? What in the Sam Hill's going on? And Eddie Marlin would always come running out. But man, if you go back and watch that video when Dream Machine grabbed Lance, when Eddie came out, it was just a different way. When he came out to save Lance, it was different when he came out than when he came out to save one of the wrestlers.
Oh my God. Yeah. I think he was afraid Lance was hot.
Of course we were. But anyway, we're gonna miss him so bad, man.
But it's been great the past few years that he's gotten a chance to see, not only in the times he come back in Memphis or Jackson or Nashville, but like in the Charlotte Fan Fest, a couple of years he was there.
Yes.
And he had a chance to see how people from all over the country and all over the world, have enjoyed his work, which at the first, I was at a couple of the first times he got out like that, and he was still flabbergasted that people remembered and Shane and I talked about this after Lance's service. Lance loved that though. He loved to be recognized. He loved to talk with the fans and interact with the fans, and just to know that he still had fans after all these years. He loved it. It's so amazing. Just last month, like the first week in September, he was sitting in that table right over there. He came right here to the restaurant. Lance and his son Shane and his son Rusty and Rusty's wife, they all came in here, and we sat down. We had lunch, and when Lance had called me earlier in the day and said he wanted to meet me here at the restaurant, I put out a tweet and I said, hey, I'm going to go meet Lance Russell at my restaurant. Anybody that wants to come by and say hi, please do. And there were about like 30 or 40 people that showed up, and Lance was he was just overwhelmed and just so overjoyed that these people would come up and want to have their picture made with him and everything. And it was, that's why it's so surreal to me that he's gone now. I mean, that was just last month. Remember when you wrestled Terry Funk in Jackson? Lance and Dave were both there doing the autograph session and doing the interviews, and I got there early in a special limousine from Star Maker from Louisville, but the line, it was a good crowd that night, and all of you guys and Bill Dundee was there, and etc. But the line was around the inside of the Coliseum there in Jackson, which is just like the little mini Mid-South. Stretched all the way around one side and down the other to meet Lance and Dave first, and then go on to the other folks. It was just, it was amazing. And, but yeah.
Well, those are the guys that, the fans got to see. They got to see more of them than they did the wrestlers every single week on TV. But they very seldom ever got to meet them because Lance and Dave, it wasn't that often that they would go out to the live events. They were just the TV guys. So it was a big deal for the people to get to see Lance and Dave out at one of the towns.
Emailing with you, Jim, I told you, you're being in the restaurant, you got to be cordial. There's people around here. There's little kids around. And
Jim, look at how much he's eating already. Look at how much Glenn has eaten already. Well, he hated for you and I to stop talking right then because he's like, I guess I better say something.
Just give me an extra nap, just a roll of paper towels over here.
But anyway,